Hello Honkai Star Rail players. As we know, Dr. Ratio is an upcoming 5-star imaginary character who follows the hunt path. Here is Dr. Ratio best build. Dr. Ratio's best build is pretty straightforward, as Wastelander of Banditry Desert will increase his crit rate and crit DMG when the enemy is debuffed or imprisoned. The 4PC effect will trigger consistently as long as there's a debuffer on the team. Inert Salsato will increase his ultimate and follow-up attack DMG as long as he has at least 50% crit rate, which should be easy to achieve thanks to his unlockable traces. Dr. Ratio's best teams. This free-to-play team is your typical hyper-carry setup where Dr. Ratio is the main DPS. Yukong can increase Dr. Ratio's crit stats, while Asta can buff his SPD and has a chance to burn the enemy. Dr. Ratio Generalist Team. Dr. Ratio's best teams typically consist of a buffer and a debuffer, with the latter being especially important for Dr. Ratio's follow-up attacks. Topaz has amazing synergy with Dr. Ratio, as she can provide additional DMG and increase his follow-up attack DMG. Silver Wolf can increase Dr. Ratio's chances of dishing out follow-up attacks by simply implanting tons of debuffs into an enemy. Dr. Ratio Mono Imaginary Team. This Dr. Ratio team comp is viable in certain content where the enemy is weak to quantum but not to imaginary. Silver Wolf is a must-have for this team, so she can implant an imaginary weakness on an enemy. If the enemy is already weak to imaginary, you can replace Silver Wolf with another debuffer. Here is other recommended characters that you can use with Dr. Ratio. Welt as a support replacement. Welt can turn and debuff their SPD. Fushuan can be replaced as a healer. She can increase Dr. Ratio's crit rate and redirect the DMG taken to herself through her skill. Lynx is a healer replacement. Lynx can remove the debuffs inflicted on the party and provide AoE healing with her ultimate. Dr. Ratio's best relics and ornaments. Wastelander of Banditry Desert is Dr. Ratio's best in-slot relic, as it increases his crit if the target enemy is debuffed. The 4PC effect will trigger consistently as long as there's a debuffer on the team. A mix of Wastelander of Banditry Desert and the Ash-Blazing Grand Duke is Dr. Ratio's best 2PC. Said as it increases his follow-up attacks, which is his primary tool for DMG. A mixed set of Wastelander of Banditry Desert and Musketeer of Wildweed is a great budget option if you have better substats on those pieces. Best ornaments. Inert Salsato is the best ornament for Dr. Ratio, as it increases his follow-up attacks and ultimate DMG. The crit rate threshold should be easy to achieve thanks to Dr. Ratio's crit rate buffs from his traces. If you were an early game player, Space Sealing Station is a good early game set that provides Dr. Ratio some ATK% stats, which his kit scales off. Light cones. These light cone options are speculated based on Dr. Ratio's kit. Dr. Ratio's gameplay guide. Skill deals single target DMG and debuffs enemies. Dr. Ratio's skill deals imaginary DMG to one enemy and debuffs them. His skill also has great synergy with his talent, since it allows him to do a follow-up attack at a certain chance after using his skill. Talent allows him to use follow-up attack on debuffed enemies. Dr. Ratio has a chance of launching a follow-up attack on a single target after using his skill. For each debuff the target enemy has, the fixed chance of launching the follow-up attack increases. This means that Dr. Ratio will likely work well with Nihility characters. Ultimate helps launch additional follow-ups. Dr. Ratio's ultimate deals imaginary DMG to a single enemy target and applies Wiseman's Folly. When all other allies attack targets affected with Wiseman's Folly, Dr. Ratio will launch a follow-up attack on them. Technique taunts enemies and reduces their SPD. Dr. Ratio's technique can create a special dimension that taunts nearby enemies. After entering battle with enemies in the dimension, there is a base chance to reduce the enemy's SPD. Dr. Ratio's traces, skills and kit. Dr. Ratio's traces were taken from the trial character that can be used during the Mundane Troubles Trailblaze Continuance mission. All Eidolon resonance effects. Dr. Ratio E1 Pride comes before a fall. The maximum stackable count for the trace summation increases by 4. When a battle begins, immediately obtains 4 stacks of summation. Needs to unlock summation first. E2 The divine is in the details. when his talent's follow-up attack hits a target. For every debuff the target has, additionally deals imaginary additional damage equal to 20% of Dr. Ratio's ATK. This effect can be triggered for a maximum of 4 times during each follow-up attack. E3 Know Thyself, ultimate level increase by 2 up to a maximum of level of 15, basic ATK level increase by 1, up to a maximum of level of 10. E4 Ignorance is Blight, when triggering the talent, additionally regenerates 15 energy for drive ratio. E5 Sic Atur Ad Astra, skill level increase by 2, up to a maximum of level 15, talent level increases by 2, up to a maximum of level of 15. E6 Vincit Omnia Veritas, additionally increases the triggerable count for Wiseman's Folly by 1. The damage dealt by the talent's follow-up attack increases by 50%. Now let's talk about Dr. Ratio Ascension and Trace Materials. Total Ascension Materials. Here is total Ascension Materials and material ascension per level required to level up Dr. Ratio. Now according to the 1.6 live stream, between the start of Panta Ray and the end of version 2.1, all qualified Trailblazers will receive a free Dr. Ratio in their mail as a reward since Honkai Star Rail won multiple awards in different categories. To qualify, you must have finished the A Moment of Peace Trailblaze mission and have unlocked the mailbox function. Release date. In the 1.6 live stream, it was announced that Dr. Ratio will be released in the second phase of version 1.6, which will start on January 17, 2024. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.